previously on the Elevate with Us podcast.
I am so humbled to welcome Sherri Johnson to the podcast today. She is an exceptional real estate coach.
We need to meet people where they are, add value, and nurture. You said earlier, nurture and help those people, whether it's 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years. And I'm going to get that business because I added value and because I created a relationship. And
analysis paralysis.
I'm getting ready to do that. I haven't done it yet. Look. If you have a goal that says, I have to have 3 listing appointments a week, you do whatever it takes to make sure you have 3 listing appointments in the calendar that week, period. That turns into 12 listing appointments a month. You're going to list some of those houses this month, next month, and the month after that.
Right.
We don't start with, oh, I need to have appointments in my calendar or I'm not going to make any money. You know, the greatest thing about real estate is it's flexible. And the worst thing about real estate is it's flexible. And
I say that all the time.
Everybody's doing, it's like, are you really working?
Yes.
I don't say this to be nasty, but like, how many hours did you actually, and what activities are you focusing on? And I think, tell you there's 100 ways to go out and get leads. And somebody else, well, I tried that and it didn't work. And
yeah, I heard open houses work. I hosted one and no one came. And I was like,
so now I don't do it.
No.
And now I won't do it anymore.
They don't work. I'm like, well, like, can we talk about the marketing plan you had moving up to it? And how many signs did you have out? Did you invite anyone? Did you do did you do a sweep beforehand? Did you door knock and invite the neighbors for a special preview? Like, what did you do other than
put aside
on the MLS like everyone else? Like, did you do anything special? What's your value prop?
And they just don't have a plan. And the strategy is the piece of it that's missing from almost every single agent. Our skills assessment, we talk about what are the things that are missing. Like I sell a house, I sell 3 to 5 houses off of every listing. No one has ever answered yes to that. And the reason is we just don't have a plan. We list it, it sells, boom, we move on. And what is crazy to me is that if you worked smarter and less running around like, crisis managing the sales you have, a few sales, whatever, and you sat down and you were intentional about, this is the plan, this is what I'm putting into place, and I'm not getting up until I have 3 or 4 listing appointments this week. So stay goal, and then tell your manager, like tell Tanya, this is what I'm doing, and I want to be held accountable to it, and that will change. But when we walk in and we're just doing the crisis of the day, or just because the removal of contingency form came into your email doesn't mean you have to deal with it right then. I mean, yes, if there's a time element,
too, but it's okay. Like it can wait an hour or 2. I think
you can say I'm doing this still, and I'm still working on the thing Sherri Johnson told me to do, the thing my broker told me to do, or Tanya told me to do. I'm still implementing the thing I said, and it's not about, like waiting for this stuff to happen. Yes, so 3 times a year, somebody, shows up. And again, I always say to the agents that are plateaued at a certain value, everyone, your family, your kids, your every moral fiber of you and your dog, everyone knows how you do 5 or 8 million because you've been doing it for years. And what if we just made some small modifications to that? And people tell me after they'll hear me speak or, I meet them and they say, if I just did 2 or 3 things that you are talking about, I'd have another $5 to $10 million in business. I'm like, I know that already, actually.
Like, yeah, I know. I know.
And they're like, well, I've just been doing what's coming at me. And they do this.
It's also that principle of like realtors either working in or on their business, right? I feel like all realtors fall into one category. You're either good at one or the other.
That's right. And they like the busy work. Like, people tell me, I just had an agent tell me, I love doing all the busy work, the checkboxing and the checklists and I'm like, you need to be selling. Like 80% of your time you need to be selling. You can't.
They're the ones that are getting ready. They're like getting ready. I'm getting ready. I'm putting together my listing presentation. I'm putting together my buyer. I'm like, well, could I see where you're at now? No, I'm still working on it. They're still putting, and I'm putting together my list of vendors. how about we just go out and sell, and then we'll help you find vendors as you need them. Like, it's okay.
I'd rather you have 3 listing appointments and have no idea what you're taking.
Yeah, exactly.
And be like, Tanya, help me. I don't know what I'm doing. I have 3 appointments this week and I don't even know what my plan is.
Best problem ever.
That's
the best problem ever to have is, I have so many appointments. I need you to help me manage them. Can you help me price them? I need a better strategy. I can't think of a better panic, right? Like that's exhilarating. Like that's fun.
Have the business and
it'll work itself out. It always does.
You'll figure it out. I mean, you can't be prepared. You can't. This is a learn on the job kind of a job. It really is. And I think you have, if you want, the goldminepipeline.com, you can download the form. There's an ebook.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. And it is goldminepipeline.com. We're going to cover it again with your team. But I know, the strategy we have, make 50 grand at your next open house. I mean, how do you strategically go to an open house that's a move up? The whole strategy has to be thought out, like the right price point, a move up neighborhood. You're not going to get listings at an open house. If you sit an open house that's a first time buyer, obviously you're going to get first time buyers. So the whole strategic side of it, and you mentioned earlier, did you drive traffic to it? What was your plan? How many sites? All of that. And then how to greet those people and add value and convert them. And we just aren't, we kind of, as an industry, suck at getting appointments and converting people. And we're just waiting for them to say, hey, I'm ready to list my house. Everyone knows what to do with people who know what they're doing. I'll grab my stuff, come list your house. It's just not happening enough to make 6 or 7 figures. You can't make 300 grand waiting for everybody to ask you to come list their house. So how do you get the B and C people that are 6 months out excited, right? Get appointments with them, start now, work with them and meet them where they are and just continue to give them valuable information. I call it educational marketing, or, like, I'm going to be your realtor and here's how I work best for you, which is whether you're moving now or in a year, I'm not going anywhere. And I want to earn your trust.
Well, it's exactly right. And it's, keeping in touch with your past customers, your sphere, whoever, if you have kids and they're in activities and just being involved with all those people. And you can't be a secret agent, right? They should know you're a realtor.
Well,
right?
I mean, Tanya, this is what is so funny about this business. I go places or people sign up for coaching. So I don't want to make cold calls. And we go, okay, you don't have to. And they go, I don't want to call my sphere either. And I'm like, who are we going to do this with?
They're like, all right, so okay, so where do you get your business from?
And you can, by the way, I was always an agent like you. It's like, I didn't have to come right out and ask, but there are great ways to ask for business without looking weird or desperate. Like just saying, I'm taking new clients.
Sure.
If you have a friend, family member, coworker, or neighbor that wants to buy, sell, or invest in the next 6 to 12 months or longer, I'm taking new clients. And now I covered the fact that they don't have to be immediate. And now people are going to think about those 4 areas of
you weren't like
segments.
Yeah, you weren't pushy. You were providing value. Like, hey,
and I just say, and I'm taking new clients, just like anybody who's a professional.
Right.
And it doesn't mean I don't have any. It doesn't mean, it actually sounds like I have a lot. Actually, I'm taking new clients. It's an easy post you can put out on social media right now if you listen to this podcast. But think about it. Like the purpose of giving customers is to get more customers. And it's so, I have story after story of people who didn't follow up with people, thought that they would call them and they didn't. And they missed, $1.5 million of business on a buy and sell because they were so confident their people would call them. And, I went out and found a listing as a regional VP of a company when everyone said there's no inventory. And I got 4 calls on a letter I sent out. And one of them was one of, an agent in my market who I said, you lived in there. All your clients are there. Call your sphere. And you know what she said to me? No one's moving. I would know. And I said, well, you have clients in there and you used to live there. And she said, I would know. And I said, well, I'm going to send my typical letter, my Sherri Johnson letter. She'll send away. I go, I'm not going to pull your clients off. She goes, I don't care. Send it. Well,
how many they reached out?
4 people. I sent it to 400 people. I got 4 calls.
Yeah, that's about right. Mm-hmm.
And I sold the guy, her former client, next door neighbor, former client, their house. And I said to them, do you want to use her? Because I know you bought your house from there. And they said, no, we're good. I asked 3 times. And then I said, where are you guys going? And they were building for $1.3 million. Their house was $500,000. So I had a $500,000 sale, 5%, both sides. And oh, by the way, the other 3 people, we listed and sold other houses too.
Right.
Like 7 sales from one letter. Now, which is great. And that's why
it's amazing.
But her attitude was, and then when I told her, but her initial attitude, I would know. I said, but we're still on the phone talking. Hang up with me and call 20 of them.
Yeah.
She could have had the sale. And so how many times do we just take the attitude of, oh, my sphere will always call me? Well, I've seen it more than I'd like to tell you that they don't. And they'll call my office and say, I worked with so-and-so. She's Kathy, she's blonde. And I'm like, that does not narrow this down. We have a lot of Kathys. It was a true story. And I said, oh, I have like 4 Kathys, they're all blonde. So you have to have a VIP loyalty program.
Yes.
Talk to your sphere all the time. It doesn't have to be about real estate.
I think that's what people forget. I think realtors are so afraid of talking to their sphere and feeling salesy that they're afraid to call them. And I tell the agents all the time, especially if they're new to the area or new to real estate or restarting their real estate career, right? Sometimes people take time off, and I'm like, hey, like put together the list of 100 people, or this thing right here, the phone, hundreds of people in here. This will change your life if you
moneymaker.
And I just say, if you have your 100 and there's some of your best friends there, and you're like, oh, but Tanya, I haven't talked to Sherri in a year. Won't it be weird if I call her? My response is, if Sherri called you, would it be weird? Or would you be happy? I would love if Sherri called me. Then call her and just say, hi. That's it. She's going to say hi. You're going to say, how are you? And they're going to ask what you're doing. And you're going to tell them, I just got into real estate, or I'm restarting my real estate career, or I moved to Jacksonville, Florida, and now I sell real estate. And they're going to be like, that's so cool. And if they don't ask any more about it, that's cool. You can call them in 4 weeks again.
That's
right. Okay. You don't have to always make it about real estate. And I think that mindset is what separates the agents that are getting a lot of referral business from the ones that are just kind of chasing. Because in my opinion, with this shift right now, the agents that are relationship-based, that are providing value, that are getting great reviews, and they're building, raving fans, their business is going to grow. And then you're going to have this huge disparity of like tons and tons of top producers doing a ton. Like it almost is going to mess up the 80-20 thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually it's funny because if your business we have a program called Build a 95% Referral Business, which everyone's like 95%, that's crazy. It's not really. If you, right now, everyone's like, I don't know, these people have a 3% mortgage, they're not going to move. And I said, instead of running after all these people, what if your entire strategy was your CRM, which I coined this phrase a couple of years ago, the continuous referral machine.
Oh, it should be. That's amazing.
CRM is your continuous referral machine. And that is going to be where you spend all your time, where you spend all your attention. You don't even have to spend that much money. But if you had 4 micro events a year and you saw your people, or you do we just had someone do a Topgolf outing for 30 people. You get 7 referrals from it. 30 people.
No, because again, if they take their commission and they divide it up into pieces, they've got money saved up for their business. After they've paid their dues, they can have client events, and they're not expensive.
No.
And can you imagine if the average price point there is like 400,000 and she's making roughly 10,000? If that event cost her, I don't know, $500 or $1,000, she just made like $70,000 off of it. Like,
so maybe it cost $3,000.
Yeah, whatever.
I just made another $60,000 in commission. So
good.
It's really, like your business, instead of running after paying for leads, or my favorite, which is, people, they just think that they can, I don't know, generate business and not tap into this fear. If you have a 95% referral business, which many of our clients do, it's one agent we coach, there's 140 transactions a year, single agent.
Amazing.
No team. And they're about 380, 400 average. And here's the deal. And I said to her, what do you like? What's your CRM? She goes, I have a spreadsheet.
I knew you were going to say that.
And then I said, she goes, I spend no money on anything except my sphere of like literally my sphere of influence. You can go into that phone, which when you held that up, I yelled out moneymaker.
Moneymaker. It is. And people are afraid of it.
Calls. Well, it makes outgoing calls. And you know what? If you had a lunch and you were at the middle of this table and you said, I'm going to bring, 8 to 10 professional women together. They all can help each other's businesses grow, and they all have something in common. They're running a business, they're professionals, whatever. And this works so well. And you sit them down. And I was funny because my agent who did this, I thought she paid for the lunch. She said, no, I didn't pay for it. They all paid themselves. And it was so, and here's what happens.
Even better.
I'll eventually say, hey, Janice, how's the real estate market? And now we're talking about real estate and everybody wants to know about the house that's sold over here. And can you help my sister-in-law and how this and that? Or can you help me? Or we're thinking about moving, but not for a while. It all turns into a real estate conversation on its own. So get a group together, which is wine night, play date if you have kids and you're doing the kid circuit thing, or anything to get people together. I just had someone who it's a runner, and he's like, I put a running group together and we meet every week and I get business from it. I'm like, I said, you run, you're getting your run in, you're seeing these people.
Right. Brilliant.
Business to your literally to the top and bottom line of his business. So
it's just organic, right? Because it becomes natural. That's why don't be afraid to call people you haven't talked to, or in your neighborhood, start a neighborhood group about something that interests you. Because if it interests you, it might interest somebody else. And that's great, right? Like wine nights, garden clubs, book clubs, just so many different dog groups. There's, all kinds of things that you can do. It's just,
again, it's about
make it about real estate, and because they're transactional. Once you really understand, like, listen, everyone, take this to heart. Listen, it's relationships. Relationships lead to conversations. Conversations may lead to a contract, and a contract gets you commission. But you got to have the relationship to have the conversation.
And be the connection. Like I tell people all the time, like I am, whether you're moving or not, consider me a resource. I have
100%.
I call it the Angie list, which now is just Angie. So I have to change how I say it. But like create your Sherri list. Like these are all my contractors. It's sticky. Right. People actually love that you are the go-to person for anything, whether the house is, they moved in, they're moving, or they're whatever stage of life they're in, you can be their resource. And people don't have, past accountants or past attorneys or past any professional but they have a past realtor. If we are calling them past clients, and it's like, you have a client list, you're professional, bring the game up. Let's go level 10. Let's be professional and let's have a strategy. And if you just today, this afternoon, write down 5 things you're going to put into practice that will bring you some business, and then say, this is my goal for the week. I'm going to have X number of appointments in my calendar. I'd like them to be listing appointments, just saying. If you focus on one goal and it's X number of listing appointments a week, and you hit that number, by the way, once you hit it for the day, if you're like, I got my 3 appointments, make 10 more calls, right? You're on
keep going.
Keep it going. You have more hours in the day, right? I always say, you have a listing or a sale this week, you just don't know the address yet. So
good.
Keep that mindset. It's like, it's the number one mindset of literally all of it. I see myself winning. I see myself getting hired. And now it's like the 10 calls to 20 grand. If you send out 10 texts or make 10 calls, you have an opportunity to make $20,000.
Yeah.
10,000 a deal, roughly, depending on where your market is and what your average sale price is. But let's say you made $10,000 of commission and they had a house to sell, right? And you made 10 calls, and I don't know which one's going to say yes or maybe, but after you make those 10, one of them says yes or maybe, and they have a house to sell. It's 10 calls, 20 grand. Now, I don't know if we call 1, 3, 5, or 7, or number 10, but everyone always says to me, Tanya, it sounds so much better when you say it. And here's why it sounds better when I say it. I added an element of success to it. I said, I picked up the phone. I'm going to be successful. Someone's going to say yes. I'm not hanging up the phone until now. Like you said, if all I talk about is their trip they just went on and it never goes anywhere, hang up and go to the next call.
It's okay. It's great. It's absolutely great. Absolutely.
Relationship.
It's because it doesn't always have to be about real estate. Now, if it turns into real estate, that's an added bonus, right? Because when they think of real estate, you want them to think of you, right? So if they're thinking of buying, selling, building, or investing, you want them to call you about it. And if you just happen to call them on a day where they were like, wow, I've always wanted to have a short-term rental. I'm so glad you called. Gosh, what if you hadn't? Who would they run into that day?
That's right.
And the realtor they thought of.
It is a numbers game. You have to have, so many people on the pipeline to like sell X number of houses, 1.5 times actually. But you don't have enough people on the pipeline right now. So write them all down, find the pieces of paper with the open house registration people on it from 6 months ago, put all those people on, go through your email, go through your phones, and you'll find you have about 3 times the amount of sales you usually do in a year on the pipeline of any buyer or seller who's buying between now and the next 2 years. Put it all on paper, add it up, go to goldminepipeline.com. You can download it right there. And I'm telling you, you're going to say, wow, they're going to come to you, Tanya, and say, I have 3 times what I usually sell. Yes. And you're going to close 85% of it. Actually, we're going to show you how to do that. Get appointments. So it's about increasing your strategy and first of all, having a better strategy. That's really
or just having one. Let's lower
the strategy and then execute on it in a plan.
Well, because they don't have a plan. Like, we've established that. So if there is one takeaway, just one takeaway that you would give our audience, which is almost all realtors, what would it be? Like, what do they need to do today to fix their tomorrow?
Well, they need to have between 15 and 20 listing leads at all times and 15 buyer leads at all times. And where you go find those?
That's what I was going to ask.
So lead generation strategies that you can do that with. Open houses are the GOAT, the greatest of all time. It's the longest free way to generate leads. Open house is where people are coming to you. You can microfarm neighborhoods. You can tap into your sphere. You can call expireds, which is also an unbelievably the most qualified lead. We know they had a sign in the yard. They want to sell. I call 10 expireds. I get 8 appointments and probably close and list and sell 5 out of those 8. So there are so many ways to generate leads, but you have enough people on the pipeline. That is your biggest problem today.
Right. You're right. And I don't think agents know exactly how to get a pipeline. So let's just talk about open houses for a second, because I believe in them. I've shared my story on here before. So some people know that, I'm divorced. I had no sphere here. I only lived here for a year, but I did have real estate experience and I had hosted open houses before. And so if you're a new agent with no listings, with no friends and no family and no sphere, you're going to lean on your brokerage for open houses. And that's what I did. And there was an agent in the office that let me host like all her open houses. Man, I would on my kid-free weekends, I would host a minimum of 3 open houses. Yeah. Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday afternoon. So that I would do like 6 a month. I mean, and that's how I did fill my pipeline. What is 1 or 2 strategies an agent could implement for open houses coming up this weekend that you think would lead to better conversion of feeling like they're a part of their pipeline?
So the best way to get, I have a course called Make $50,000 at Your Next Open House, which literally will generate between $50,000 and $150,000 of future commissions for you. But you have to the first strategy is to sit at the right house. So if you want to pick up $450,000 buyers, you have to be at the $450,000 buyer houses, right? So
that's a remarkable piece of advice. I was talking to an agent earlier about this who said I wanted to get into luxury. And I'm like, the easiest way to get a luxury is to sit your butt in some luxury houses. Because that brings luxury
where the 50-pound salmon are if you want to catch 50-pound salmon. If I want to catch 25-pound salmon, I got to go to those waters, but I want the 50-pound salmon. So you have to be in what I call the highest value that's turning over the most is probably the best place to position
Highest
yourself.
value turning over the most. Interesting.
And then when you do that open house, you're there not just to make the seller happy, you're also there not just to pick up buyers. I want you to mentally change your mindset that you're there to pick up listing opportunities. People who have a house to sell who are also going to buy. That's like a 2-for-1. I love people that are going to buy and sell, do sales. And then when you meet them, you know, I studied organizational behavior and leadership development with a business degree. But when you look at body language is literally, between body language, tone of voice, and words. So body language is 55% of communication, and tone of voice is 38%.
Okay.
The words we say are only 7%. So it's more about listening and responding to people's body language. People don't want to sign in, right? How do we add value at the front door in the first 15 seconds? It's impossible to say, Tanya, Sherri Johnson, and I'm with Realty One Elevate, and you're going to love me, and I have all these great things. I can't communicate all my great value in 15 seconds. Because as you watch them, when I lean in to shake their hand, they're leaning back into the door. And so listen and respond to people's body language. Emotional intelligence is a real thing. It always has been. It's not a new thing. And so when agents say, well, how'd you sell so many houses? I say, because I listen to emotions, not facts. And so when you ask better questions, right, you go through the open house and you want somebody to sign in, I say to people, look, obviously I'm going to need your information. You're in someone else's home, right? And I don't say for security purposes because they picture a red siren and that feels weird. So I want them to first realize, oh yeah, that makes sense. But then if they still have bad body language, Tanya, I say to them, don't worry, I'm not going to call you. I don't call people who don't want to be called. I don't like when people do that to me. So now they're like, okay, here's my info.
Right, because you instill trust.
Yeah, and they say, wow, you're pretty cool. And that's awesome. And I said, let's go look at the house. And so now we're on that house tour of the property, and we're going to say, how long have you been in your house? Will you be keeping your house or selling it? I love asking that question. 99% of the time they say, oh, we're selling it. And then I say, great, so you're going to be selling your house. And they say yes again. And I store that for when we get back to the kitchen. I'm going to talk about the value I bring now when you need me now and not 6 months from now. Right. So the person who talks the most just talks the most. The person who asks the most questions actually controls the conversation.
Right.
I don't mean like I want you to be a control freak. I want you to control the next thing that tells you the next thing to help you with stuff.
I want to guide the conversation so you're getting information that you need to determine if this is someone you could or should work with. It's
qualifying.
Really good tips.
Yeah. And when I said earlier, like I purposefully ask it twice, will you be keeping your house or will you be selling it? I'm banking on the fact they're going to say, oh no, we're selling it. And I say, great. So you're going to be selling your house. And they say yes again. Now we're downstairs and I can revisit that by saying, you mentioned upstairs that you were going to be selling your home. I know you said 6 months, but believe it or not, I add more value now at the front end of the process. I can help you save time and money. Here's how. And I go into my whole script on why you need me now, as opposed to waiting 6 months before you call a contractor, before you make the list for Home Depot. I'm going to share with you. I do this every day and I know what buyers like. And so it's really actually like way more important for me to come out today. And I say, and here's what I say, I'm not coming to list it, obviously. Now, a person who didn't want to sign in is now a listing appointment by the time they walk out the door. That's the point of doing the open. So you don't have to wait till Monday to follow up. You don't have to wait 3 days. I don't want those people to go to another open house and get swept away by somebody else.
Correct.
Get the appointment while you are standing in front of them. And look at that. I just did this and it went out. So when you think about like so many agents just don't give any value, and it's the value that makes them want you to come to their house. Like I'm going to get,
I mean, you're so right. They're missing the conversation. They don't know what to say because they were trained differently, or it didn't mean something to them, because real estate's a journey and it's a gift, right? I think selling and helping people buy and sell real estate's an actual gift, but the journey they're on and the journey you're on changes. And so they're going to hear it differently this time than next time. And there's many ways to host an open house, but hosting an open house that leads to listing appointments would probably be the most amazing
It's killer.
goat of an open house ever.
It is. And what's crazy is it's all because they didn't know how to get their name. And what I
mean, which they don't want to give you anyway. Like what you just
they don't want to give it to you
happens every time. Pretty much.
Why not minimize the sign-in sheet and then add? And what ends up happening, sadly, is that when they sense the weird, it gets more weird. And then they're like, oh, great, these people are going to sign in. And then the worst thing happens. And they say this, they go ahead, walk through the house. Let me know if you have any questions. And it's like you've missed that whole opportunity to bond with that person and add value and show them that you actually deliver immense value. So the worst open house attendee I got an appointment with, right? When I said, hi, here's what happens. When I shake your hand at the front door, in fact, I sent out an email about this today. When I shake your hand at the front door and I say, hi, I'm Sherri Johnson with Realty One Elevate, and they say, hi. And we have an option right there to accept that or say, and you are.
Yeah.
Right? And your name, right? And don't stop shaking their hand. Don't stop shaking the hand. Keep shaking it until they answer. Right. They don't ask again. Like I asked this one woman, I said, and you are, and she said, Kathy. She was really nasty, had bad body language. And I said, oh, Kathy, I didn't get your last name. And she said, because I didn't give it to you. And I was like, wow. You know what I mean? And I got her to list her house with me. I said, oh, I didn't ask. I said, you didn't tell it to me. What did you, and I still wouldn't stop shaking hands. So I get more texts about, what's better for you Thursday at 5 or Saturday at 10. When you ask for an appointment, okay, you have to ask with two options. Like it's not if I'm coming. Good. And instead of saying, when can I come over? Because you know what they're going to say? Never. There's never. So two things. If you get past the weird at the front door by minimizing the sign-in sheet, now you take them on a tour. It's not weird anymore. Now you're adding massive, awesome value. You are valuable if you can communicate that value proposition. Now we get downstairs, boom, you know what to say. You're going to add value 4 different ways. And you're literally going to say, I'm not coming to list your house, Kathy. I just want to come and help you before you make the list to go to Home Depot, before you hire a contractor, because I know what today's buyers want. I'm going to save you a lot of time and money. And they're going to be like, okay. And that's when you strike and you say, great. What's better for you Thursday at 5 or Saturday at 10? Which is also strategic. It's a weekday.
Yes, you have to do it that way, which a lot of agents open-ended. Now, morning and afternoon, 2 different days.
Morning and then Saturday morning. And it's like one of these combinations will work for these people. So, if you look at the open house as a way to pick up listing appointments, you will use this system and you'll make 50 grand. This is how I literally built my business this way because I switched high schools. My parents sold their printing company and I didn't have a sphere there. I might as well have moved to my town.
Right.
And I didn't really have a sphere except the first guy who bought a house from me, a condo from me. You can work with complete strangers. And whether you're new or not, like those people don't know how long you've been in the business anyway. Right. So if you're new, they don't know if you've been in the business, 10 years or 10 minutes or 10 months. And it's like, have the wherewithal and the strategy to say, I'm going to add value to this person who's sitting at the door. Now, everyone always says, what if you have more people in the open? Have 2 people with you if that's the case. Sure. Just tell people I have an exclusive homebuyer guide I'm going to give you before you leave. Don't leave without seeing me. I'm an exclusive homebuyer guide. That's everything you need to know about buying a home. And I'm going to enroll you in my exclusive homebuyer program. I've been saying that for 28 years. Exclusive homebuyer program. If you don't have one, write one. Create one, sign up for, playbook, and you can use mine. The point is that you got to have something. If you don't have a prop or any type of value, you're not communicating anything. And so people want free stuff and they actually want it.
Yes, they do. They love it.
Love it. So open house, total goat. That's the best way to generate leads. If you're new, not new. I love when, agents that have been licensed 25 plus years tell me, I'm taking this class from you and I don't do open houses and I never had to. And then after the class, they're like, I'm doing a Sherri Johnson open speak. I'm going to fill the pipeline. So you might only have to do one really good one a month. You'll fill the pipeline.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. And think about all the people, all the Kathys that you're going to talk to. And You find 5 people, they all have a house to sell. It's 10 transactions. Now, if you make
No, I mean, it's
a month,
so good. I mean,
if
it's
you make
so
10
good.
grand a month, that's 100 grand from one open house.
Right.
So let's look at the open house as a way to leverage that house. Again, I mean, yes, they might buy the house. It's probable that they're not going to.
Most likely.
To create other business. And that's the power of that open house. But I think they're, it's, again, going back to getting a plan in place that has action items. So take this podcast, listen to it again, because it's been so awesome. And
save it for sure. So many
and write down the things Tanya and I are talking about, because right here is gold. I mean, this is like, this whole talk has been amazing. So
anyway, it's so good. I so appreciate your time today. I can't wait to have you in the office so that you can be teaching 6 different courses throughout the year with Realty One Group Elevate, and it's going to be amazing. I mean, your stories, they're things you've done. You're not a real estate coach, because we do know there is one out there that has never sold real estate. And I think it's a totally different perspective to have. You have done it and lived it and breathed it and actually done the things and had the success. And that's remarkable.
Wow. Thank you. And it's, it's just have a quick, easy plan and then stick to it and use the resources you have, use Tanya, use everybody at the company, and create discipline and consistency, and you will have 3 to 6 sales a month. Like it's really within reach. I think to inspire and motivate you. I assume you're already motivated. That's what's great about coaching, is like, I assume I can't motivate a satisfied person. So if you're satisfied, you're going to listen to this. You're going to say there were some great ideas on there. If you're satisfied.
Yeah. If you're not looking for more. If you're not looking for more, then this isn't going to appeal to you. Yeah. This isn't going to appeal to you.
I can't wait to meet your team and just bring all such great, valuable strategies, solutions, help people grow their business. And again, go to goldminepipeline.com. We're going to go over that Goldmine Pipeline in our first session. I can't wait.
It's going to be awesome.
On Group Elevate. You guys rock, and I'll see you guys soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Sherri.